So we discussed about this parallel workflow scenario. So this is a decision table that we discussed, right? So now after that, I prepared the same decision table. I made the entries into the decision table, the same Excel, whatever discussed, and now we'll see the demo on this. Okay. So first, let me show you what I have done. So probably you can also try the same. Okay. So general settings, process modeling. Okay. Change request. First, I created a change request, custom change request. Okay. I created one new change request for material master. So till now we are creating the CS for our custom data model, right? So what I have done is I created a change request for material master. Okay. So because if you are not created any, if you're not done that data model and all that stuff, still you can continue with your from the process modeling onwards, you can continue with your hands-on or practice using the MMRBP or any of the data model. Okay, so just to show you that example, what I've done is I created one custom change request type for material master. Okay, so this is a copy of the standard MAT01 only. Standard out-of-box CI type that we got is MAT01, and this ZMAT01, I just created a copy of that one. Okay, so I select what I've done is if you go to MAT, okay, you can see MAT01 is a standard one. So I selected this and I created a copy of this one. Okay, so that's how I created this ZMAT01. Okay, now here the workflow that I assigned is rule-based workflow, that is 86 workflow. Okay, and rest everything is a copy of MAT01 only. Okay, now for this particular workflow with this change request type, we need to maintain the decision. First, we need to create the steps. So if you go to this steps, workflow steps, in the workflow, then rule-based workflow, you see define change request steps. Okay, so if you use 86, so then obviously you need to maintain the steps over here for your CR type. So this is our CR type. Okay, so now you see these steps are same as the same steps, whatever steps that. Okay, so these steps, let me copy these steps. Yeah, these ones only, right? We have 0, 0, then 90 is a approval step. Okay, 91, 92, 91, 92, 94, 94, 99, 99, and PL is a parallel parent, PL, P1, P2. So actually here I mentioned PL1 and PL2, but it always accepts 2 characters only. So I just put P1 and P2. That's how you can see P1 and P2. Okay. Okay. So P1 and P2 are the 2 parallel work items which we wanted to create. So that's how I just maintained these steps. Okay. So now after this, once we define the steps, the next step is we need to populate the decision table. So for that one, configure rule-based workflow. So here, this decision table. Okay. So the CR type is ZMAT01 is a change request type. Okay. So these decision tables I populated. Now these decision tables, whatever that we discussed in our parallel workflow scenario, exactly the same steps, I put it over here. I filled the same details over here. Okay.
One quick question. So you came to this screen from where? I remember. Which one did you?
Yeah, sure. I'll show you. So this one, configure
work. Okay, thank you.
When you click on this one, it will open up a browser and it asks you to input your change request type. So once you enter the CR type, it will open up this application where you can fill these 3 decision tables. Okay. So now here, I just populated all the details that we discussed. Okay. And our merger body is ZMerge. zmerge is the service name. Okay. For this one also, I just implemented this one. So this is the body implementation, zmerge. Okay. So I showed you this in when you create this implementation, it copies the sample piece of code. So we can use the same sample piece of code here. So first thing is I maintained this service name equal to zmerge. Okay. Now you can see the same zmerge I maintained over here. Now in the logic, so this logic, whatever when you are doing that implementation, it will copy the sample piece of code. You can use the sample piece of code as is with only one small change. The change is the output of this particular body, the output step of this particular body. Initially here you will see when you copy the sample piece of code, the step number is 02. But as per our diagram, if you look at as per our diagram, once PL1, PL2, two parallel threads are completed, from the body output, we should send this 190. So that's why I replace the step number with 90. So this is here 02 will be there. I replace 02 with 90. And the reason is in my decision table, the output of the body, I'm considering it as a 90, either 90 approve, 90 reject. So that's what I'm just putting that merge step as 90, and I will get, depends on the situation, either the action will be either reject or approve. Okay, so this is how I'll get this one, right? So the rest of the thing that we discussed in the, I just wanted to show you one sample demo. So now we created one custom CR type, we defined the steps, workflow steps, we maintained the relation tables, we also implemented the body. Now coming back to here, let's see how it works. Parallel workflow scenario. So I wanted to use my CR type which I created, that is a zmat01. Okay, and click on continue. Okay, so I'm going to create one material here. So I'll just put some, let's say the description, parallel workflow demo, unit of measure each. I'm just filling only the basic information. Okay, and industry sector M, material group, which was this. Then this is the only test material. Okay, so yeah. So once you enter the data, you can submit the request. If there are any errors or there are not, that you can by clicking this check button. When you click on this check button, system will perform all the validations in the backend, right? So we are going to discuss the body or BRF validations and derivations today. So when you click on this check, system will run all the standard checks. Plus, if you have implemented any custom validations, right, which we are going to discuss, those everything will get executed. And if there are any errors are there, system will show you over here. For now, there are no errors. So we are good to submit this request. So now once I submit this request, as per this particular decision table, it should create two parallel work items. Two parallel work items that you can see here. It will create two parallel work items and both the parallel work items, right? So condition alias 1 represents the parent step. For the parent step, it will create two parallel work items. That's why you can see this 1 and 1. And how we can determine for one work item, I need to assign one agent, another work item, I need to assign another agent. Okay, so that's what we can see in the decision table as well. We are specifying 01 and 02. Okay, so now here, both the work items, I'm assigning it to one single user. Okay. So both the parallel work items will go to the same user to approve the request. Now, let me submit this request. So once I submit this request, in the backend, system will initiate two parallel work items. Okay. Do a refresh. Okay. Now, what is the change request type? 693. So let me close this. Then I'll go to change request. Change request. 693 is the one which we just created. Okay, so I'll open this CR. When I open this CR, both work items are assigned to me. So system will first open the one of the first item for me. It cannot open both at the same time for me. But if there are two different users, so both can open the request at the same time and both can approve the perform the actions. Now to see how whether both work items are created or not, that you can go to this work. See, you have this option work items. When you click on this work item, it shows two work items for you. Okay, one is 328 and 335. Both are waiting for my approval only. If I assign two different users for the for each work item separately, then it will show me at any point of time only one work item. Okay, you can also see in the workflow log. If you go to workflow log, it shows here two work items 335, 328. Okay, both for both the same processor. Both are ready state, waiting for the approval. Okay, so now it opened for me. Let's say I can put a description over here for this step. It is maybe purchasing view approval or something like that. Okay, now I wanted to first approve the other one. You can click on this work items, choose the other one. You can select the other one. For now, actually, I should have put two separate descriptions so that you can observe that status. One is purchasing view, other one is some sales view or something like that. But you can see here, you can choose between which work item first you wanted to approve. Okay, so now let me approve one work item here. Approve. Okay, so the one is approved. Now again, second one is open for me to take an action. You can see from the workflow log. Okay, one is completed. Still second one is pending. So what I'll do is, now I'll approve the second one as well. So now second one, both are completed. So it will go to the baddie. In the baddie, it will look at the both responses. Since both are approved, the final output of that particular baddie will be 90 approved. The output of that particular baddie will be 90 approved. And from this decision table, it will go to the, as per this decision table, it will initiate that activation process 91. From 91, after 91, if the approval is activation is successful, it will close your workflow. Okay, so now let me do a refresh. Final check approved. Okay, you can also see the status here. So this status, let me see, where is the refresh button? Okay, let me select again. So both are approved. This is approved actually. 693, your CR is this CR is approved. Final check approved means this is the last status of your change request. Okay, so that's how this rule-based workflow, your parallel workflow works. Clear? Okay. If this is clear, the next one we have is under the data quality topic, how we can actually write any custom validations and derivations, right? So in the data quality topic, we also saw duplicate check demo. Demo is pending. Of course, there is some error. It is not actually triggering the duplicate pop-up, but the configuration remains same. So there might be some issue with the system that I will troubleshoot and I'll correct that so that, and then I'll show you the demo on the duplicate check. But whatever the steps that we perform to trigger to configure the duplicate check, so that we already covered. So in data quality topic, okay, so in data quality topic, so we discussed about search applications and we also discussed about duplicate check. Okay, so we are going to discuss validations and derivations. Okay, so let's look at what is this validation and derivation.
Hey, ZaranTech now offers SAP corporate training? That's right. Train your workforce in SAP with our comprehensive program. We offer customized courses, certified trainers, and hands-on labs for both individuals and businesses. Our standout features: bespoke training, fully configured servers for practice, in-house materials, and a dedicated LMS. Plus, get session recordings and 24/7 support. From functional to technical modules, we have got it all. Choose ZaranTech for SAP training and watch your team excel. Learn, upskill, succeed with ZaranTech.
Validations and derivations are basically when you are creating any master data in the system, there might be some business rules. So those rules, a business will provide the rules to us, and we need to implement those rules. Okay. So what are those rules? So those rules can be either validation or it can be derivation. So what do you mean by derivation? Derivation means, let's say in my business scenario, when I'm creating a material, okay. So when I'm creating all the finished products, so for all my finished products, that means choose one. A derivation can be, let's say, when I choose finished product, some of the attributes should automatically get filled on the UI. So that means here, as soon as you enter FERT material type, maybe external material group or product hierarchy, some of the attributes are always constant, same values for finished products. So in that case, we actually, instead of allowing user to basically fill all these attributes, we can actually automatically derive. Okay, so that there are two things when you do this kind of automatic derivations, right? Based on certain values, if we derive some other values, one is it's a user experience, right? So your best user experience. So for the user, you no need to enter all these details. As soon as he enters this material type, most of the values will get derived. So that saves the time for the user. And other important point is, since these values are getting derived based on your material type, so then what happens? There is no scope for user mistake. Usually, what happens for FERT material type, I need to enter external material group as 01. By mistake, the user entered 02. Right. So then if the user enters 02, there is a chance for having a wrong data on your in your system. So that also we can actually avoid that kind of human mistakes we can actually avoid, right? So that's why most of the time we prefer the derivations. So when you are creating a master data, so we get first we need to what all the things that we can automatically derive instead of asking the user or instead of the user maintaining the data, right? So that we need to come with the rules as much as rules. Okay, so that is one important point. And the other thing is, in many big organizations, if you take, right, so let's say for finished products, there might be some hundreds plants will be there. All these finished products that you are creating, it should extend to 100 plants. Now going to this plant level, this one, right? So plant where I need to add the plants, right? So clicking every time 100 times this add button and maintaining the plant level attributes is a very big difficult job. So that also we wanted to avoid. That means, so for example, I wanted to extend to a plant. So what you will do, first you maintain the plant over here. Select one plant, right? Once you select this particular plant, then when you select this particular plant, all the plant dependent, all these, whatever you can see, these views, all these views, under each view, you have some bunch of attributes. And this data you need to maintain for this particular plant. So select your plant and go to general data and maintain the attributes. So you are maintaining some, let's say, profit center. This profit center, whatever you are entering, is very specific to this plant. And again, when you add one more plant, there also again you need to fill all this data. So that means all these data are for a specific plant. So you need to first add a plant, select that row, and maintain all the down these views, right? So that is very big headache. It's a very tedious job. So, but let's say, for example, systematically, if I'm doing that extension, as soon as I select a FERT, automatically you created a rule in such a way that your material will get automatically extended to 100 plants, and for each plant, whatever you have plant specific attribute, those will be derived. Right. So this kind of thing we need to actually automate, and we need to configure as much as these kind of derivations, so that the master data creation will be faster and it will be defect free. So that is why in any MDG project, your derivations, validations and derivations plays a major role. Okay, maybe sometimes business might give or sometimes they don't give. You need to probably ask for the business that, hey, for this one, what are the plans you wanted to extend? Or else based on the historical data that you have in the system, you need to prepare certain kind of templates or any Excel, right? Okay, as per this particular data analysis, for all FERT materials are getting extended to these plants. Is this fine or not? So you need to either come with some rough draft and get it reviewed and from the business. And finally, basically what I'm trying to say here is we need to drive these validations and derivations, because business might come up or they don't know, right? So the other one is,
in order, like, the duplication and validation and derivation, how will we implement this from development to quality and production? Actually, do we capture anything
yes,
in
transport.
the transport, right?
Yeah, transport only. Everything, your search application configuration, duplicate check, validations, derivations, everything captures. It will get captured under a transport.
If they ask us to change anything, we have to make the change in development and move the transport as well.
Exactly. Yeah, you need to follow the dev, test, and quality, and then production.
Okay, so what if we have multiple derivation, meaning that based on this situation, the derivation is going to be this, and based on this situation, it's going to be a derivation of this. Is there any other dynamic derivation concept is available?
Dynamic in the sense, obviously, it will be always based on your values only. It will be input versus output. Okay. So what is your input can be your material type, material group, anything. Based on these values, it will you need to come up with the output. Okay. So what attributes you wanted to populate automatically.
So does it applicable for even the custom fields as well, right?
Yeah, for custom fields as well. Any field that is part of your data model, you can write a validation and derivations. Okay. So now the difference between derivation and validations. Derivation is the one where it automatically fills the data. It doesn't do any checks or anything. It will just simply populate the data. Validation is the one, in case of validation, it will check. It's a rule. Rule in the sense it's a check basically. Okay, if material type is equal to this one, external material group should not be blank, or it should be always 0, 1. So it's a check. So validation doesn't populate any data. It performs a check. Where derivation is the one, it doesn't check anything, but it fills the data.
So basically, if we enter the wrong material or wrong plant, which is not configured or which is not in our system, it will throw error message. It's a kind of a validation, right?
Yes.
So the moment you enter the plant, the right plant, whatever the field value which you wanted to populate, that automatically populate based on the rule which you're maintaining for the plant. That is the derivation.
Yes.
Right. So the duplicate check, like, when we do the search, along with the search itself, where we can just check whether these two field combination, whether the record is already exist or not. That is a kind of a duplicate check, correct? Okay.
No, search is basically by using search, you can find the records. It's a normal search only. You'll find the record based on your search. Okay. Duplicate check is like once you configure in the system, it will perform the duplicate check. What do you mean by duplicate check? Like we configured based on material type and material group. So maybe I created a customer with I'm going to create one customer with some address. If I configure the duplicate check based on the address, and system, as soon as I enter the address, system will take that the address data. It will query your DB, and if there are any matching records are there with the same address, it will show up on the UI. That is also kind of check only.
Okay.
Duplicate check is also, it's a check only. What is the check it will do? It is validating if any duplicate records are there or not in the system. Any confusion here? So,
see, one thing is the search is like, say example, the material A1234, right? So when we do the search, whether that record is already exist in the system or not, correct? That's what it will do,
that's true, yeah.
Right. So when you say the duplicate check, right? So meaning that along with the material number and the plant combination will go on the check, right? Meaning is there any entries available, correct?
Yeah. So see, search is, you have this search application. You wanted to find a record, whether that particular record exists or not. You enter some material number or some query, click on search, you will see the result. That's it. Okay. Your record may or may not exist based on your search query. Okay. This is a simple search when you wanted to see whether that material exists or customer exists or not. So you go through this search application. Okay. Or else you wanted to change some property of a material. You enter that material number here. Click on search. That is, it will show in the result. From here, you can open that material and edit, correct the data and submit your request. Okay. So now, what is duplicate check? So let's say, for example, you have a customer 1, okay, with address, let's say street number 10. Okay, so then let's say 10th Avenue. Okay, and for example, New Jersey, USA. Okay, so this is the customer address. Okay, customer number is, let's say, HP. Now I wanted to create a customer. Okay, so I'm creating a customer. Okay, customer 2 with name HPCL. Okay, address I entered street number 10, 10th Avenue, and New Jersey and USA. So do you think the address, this is a duplicate record of this one?
Yes, that's correct.
Right. So now how do I know there is a already record exist with the same address, and instead of creating a new customer, use the existing customer? So that I don't know. Well, as an end user, I don't know. I can go ahead and simply create and submit the request. And in fact, you are in very big organizations, you'll be dealing with millions of customers. So no one knows that with this address, if there is a customer exist or not. So what I will do, if while I'm creating this record itself in the system, if I configure that, okay, this is my duplicate criteria. Okay, that's so if I configure this one, and as soon as I enter this data and hit enter, in the backend system will go and search my DB. There is a record found. So it will show me that, okay, with this record, there is a duplicate customer already exists, right? So I'll show you that pop-up, how it look like. So it's just one kind of a warning message to the user saying that, hey, this customer is existing in the system. So do you want it to go ahead and create a new customer, or you can use one of the existing customer?
Okay.
It's a feature that provided in MDG. So SAP provided this feature in MDG.
So apart from that address validation, do we need to set any kind of these fields only we have to validate, or it's
that is as I said, whatever the attributes that are available in your data model, you can write validations against any of those attributes. So see, so this is you get this kind of pop-up when you are on this particular screen itself. When you are in a master data creation, when you hit enter, automatically here you get a pop-up like this. Okay. So this is the record that you are currently creating, and potential system already showing. See, this is a new record which I am creating. That's why $71 is a temporary number. This is an existing customer, right? With the same address.
Okay.
So I'll show you that in the system, in the demo. But how to configure this? The criteria can be anything. Okay. In this example, I took the address as a duplicate criteria. But maybe for others, there might be maybe bank data as a duplicate criteria. For someone else, name is a duplicate criteria. For someone else, tax information might be duplicate criteria. So this criteria can be changed. That's why instead of always saying that, hey, for customer or vendor master, you always go with address instead of enforcing us to go with address, duplicate check based on the address. SAP provided it as a configurable item to us. So whatever may be your criteria, you choose the attributes which forms your duplicate criteria.
Okay.
That configuration you need to do as part of duplicate check and activate this configuration. Then onwards, once you start creating the master data, your duplicate check will run performed in the backend. If there are any duplicates out there, that will show up on your UI.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Yeah. Any questions, Dinesh or Ramakrishna?
So I was thinking the address, using the address as a duplicate, maybe not very effective, because even if you have a little bit of space in between, like instead of 10th space avenue, if you put no space, and then you are trying to find a duplicate, it may not work effectively. So I think it is absolute search, isn't it? If it's
no. Actually, if you remember, we discussed that this is absolutely fine if you are correct. Basically, if you are on ECC version, but when you are in S4 HANA, you have something called fuzziness. So system will automatically perform that close match. It not necessarily.
Sorry,
yeah. Okay. So and also if you look now, you can see here there is a ranking score. You can see in the potential duplicate, it shows whether it is exact match means it will be 100%. There might be some 90, 80 and all that stuff, right? So based on that one, you can open this record and see whether it is exactly the same or not. Accordingly, you can take a call.
Yeah, I need to watch that complete duplicate
sure, no
check.
problem. Sure, no problem.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah. So that's about duplicate check. Now coming back to validation derivation, like derivation is the one where it automatically fills some data for you instead of you are entering. Okay, that is one. Validation is basically it will perform check.
Because the fuzziness option is not available for ECC, is it?
Yes, it's not there in ECC.
Okay. But our MDG layer is a separate layer, right? I mean, how it will...
But ultimately, see, this fuzziness is property of your DB layer, a DB layer level. So if your ECC always will be usually not on HANA, right? It will be like, it can be like your DB2 or Oracle or some other database, not on HANA system, HANA DB. So ultimately in the backend, you should have a HANA DB to have this fuzziness and this stuff.
Okay, understood.
Yeah. So now, any questions?
Can I ask you one question?
Yeah,
sure. As soon as you enter the data, all the three checks will happen. Is there any order in which will go first? I mean, is it the duplicate?
Yeah. Now that's what I wanted to ask you guys. Okay. So now you know what is a validation and what is a derivation, and you also have duplicate check. Right now, you tell me what is the sequence it makes more effective for us?
I think duplicate first, and then validation second, and then third is the actual derivation, or validation, duplication, and then derivation.
So whatever you put it, like in a search first, duplicate second, validation, derivation third.
Okay, so let me tell you first. First, system will perform derivations. Why? Because, and then validation. And the last one is your duplicate check. Okay, so why? Because yeah, I'll tell you, there is a reason. Okay, now see, without having any derivations, there is no point in running the validation, because see, validation, when you will run the validation, first all the data has to be entered. All the data has to be input, should be available for every attribute, right? Now, let's say, for example, on this particular screen, okay, you have a derivation. As soon as you enter this FERT material type, this value should be 0, 1. That you have written a derivation. Okay. At the same time, you also have a validation saying that it should not be blank, this value. So in this case, if your validation gets executed first, all the time you get this error message. because your derivation, when this value will be filled, this value will be filled when you run your derivation. So first, if I run this derivation, this value will be filled. Then if I run a validation, then because this value is already filled, right? So I don't get any message, error message.
I mean, if
Clear?
these two are connected, then it's definitely
Exactly.
derivation should be the first. But if
Exactly.
the field is not connected, even then the derivation should run first.
Yeah, always
There
the
has to be
sequence
some
will see.
order,
Yeah, always see. User will input 10 attributes. Let's say on the UI, user will input 10 attributes. Now, based on these 10 attributes, you are deriving 100 attributes, right? So you will populate 100 attributes. That is your derivations. Okay. Now, how many total attributes are filled? 10 plus 100, 110 fields. Now, once all the 110 fields are filled, then if I perform a validation on that one, then I can know that, okay, are there still any issues are there with this data or not? If you don't perform your validation derivation, if you run the validation, your validation will be performed against these 10 attributes only. But I wanted to run my validation on the for all maximum number of attributes. Your maximum number of attributes will be filled only after your derivation. That's why
I think that makes
derivation always triggers first, then validation. The last one is your duplicate check. Why? Because after all your validations and derivations, that is the time where system will enter the duplicate check. Execute the duplicate checks.
Yeah, and duplicate check also
is the last to check. Exactly. This is the last check. I'll show you that. Here, if you maybe you have noticed it or not, let me show you here. We defined the change request type, and we also defined the change request steps. Okay. So if you go to any of the change request step, take any step. If you go to you remember we discussed about this enhancement, basic check, authorization check, validation, derivation, and everything. There SAP intentionally, the sequence, you look at the sequence. The sequence intentionally they put 99, which is the last one.
Last step.
Exactly. Rest all the sequence is 0, but internally SAP will first perform your validations and then derivations and then validations. But duplicate check is the last check that will be performed towards end in the sequence.
Yeah, and also it must be very heavy operation to do the duplicate check. It should not be done for everything.
Exactly. So this is the sequence that it will perform. Okay. Now let's look at first we will learn about a validation, how to write a simple validation using BRF. Okay. So the example that I'll take here is for FERT, the validation, let's say, for example, what I wanted to keep a validation, old material number. You have a field called old material number. It should not be blank. It should be filled with some value. Okay. So that is a business provided validation for all finished products. Always old material number should be filled. For other material types, this can be a blank, right? So that is the validation I wanted to have in the system. Now, let's go to this one. Okay, change request. Okay, not process modeling, data quality. Data quality. This is very simple and straightforward. So, but you need to just follow these steps. Under data quality, you have validation and enrichments. Expand here. There is a node. Define validations and derivations. This is using BRF application. Similarly, using BADI also, you have these validations and derivations. Okay, we'll come back to this later. First, let's look at how we can write a simple validation using BRF application. Okay, so here, click on this. Again, this is a BRF application. It will open up. So it will open up a BRF application in the browser, just like you saw the decision tables and the kind of structure, right? The same BRF it will open up. Auto hide option. Yeah. So you can see in rule-based workflows, the input is CR. It asks for the CR type. Now it is asking for the data model because your validations and derivations are at the object level. Object means here we are talking about the data model, right? So now the data model is MM. Here you can input your MM or custom data models also, it works. Okay, so I entered MM. It asks for the transport. I'm using the local object for now. Now, just like your decision tables and everything, it will create a different structure over here. Though it's a BRF framework only, but instead of decision tables and all that stuff, you have a different structure here. So this catalog, it creates a catalog, right? You can see FMDM underscore model underscore MM. So this is a common catalog for MM model. It creates this catalog for MM object. Okay. Now there is something called trigger function. Expand this. So you have something called check entry derivation. So all your validations you will configure here. Derivations you configure here. So there are two folders. The system automatically creates this. First time when you input your MM data model and come to the screen, system will create a structure, something like this. You will have something called a check entry, which is for all your validation should go into this one. All your derivation should go into this one. Okay. Now we need to create a validation, right? Our validation is old material number should not be blank for FERT material types. So on this check entry, right click. Okay, you can see here, create object node. You need to just follow these steps. I have a document PDF. I will also share that one. So you can see here, create node. There you need to create something called function. Okay, you need to create a function here. Click on create function. Okay, so here, the name of the function, always there is a naming convention you need to follow for this function. Because we are writing it's a validations, always the first starting name is check underscore. This is the common prefix. Now here, after that, you need to input your entity name. What is the entity name? So let me open this data model. Go to MM data model. This is the edit data model. First, you need to locate the attributes in your data model. Okay, so select this, visualize data model. Okay, so the validations that you wanted to run a validation, right? So those attributes basically falls under which entity. Okay, so that you need to locate. So what is our validation? Material type and old material. Based on material type, you need to write a validation for old material number. So these two fields are part of your basic data, right? So basic data means here always it's your material number. You can find your attributes MTART here. MTART material type is also here. Old material number BASMT something will be there. Yeah, this is the old material number BASMT. So both attributes are part of your same entity. So that means you need to create a function here with that entity name. What is your entity name? Material. You can see your entity name is material. So input here material. This is your, so you need to follow always this kind of notation. Check underscore material. If you put any space or any spelling mistake, the validations, your validation won't run. Okay, so once you provide the name, create and navigate, click on OK. Okay, so here, once we are creating this function, right? So in this function, in general, in ABAP or in general, so you have something called signature. Signature means under this particular material entity, basically, you need to define a signature. So what is the signature? You can actually, for this material entity, all the attributes of material entity you wanted to include in this one. So that what happens is after that, you can write all your validations with respect to different attributes under the same entity under the same function. So let me tell you what I'm meant to say here. Okay, now you see, I'll close this.
What sets ZaranTech apart in SAP corporate training? It's our unique blend of expertise and innovation. We offer customized courses tailored to each client's needs, ensuring relevant, targeted learning. Our vast trainer database brings you wisdom from the best in the field. Need resources? Access our extensive training material repository anytime. We are all about measurable results, providing detailed student metrics to track progress. And we don't just teach, we build community. Join our thriving social media network, connecting learners beyond boundaries. With ZaranTech, you are not just training, you are transforming your SAP expertise.
Yeah, so under basic data, so I created a function for basic data. Okay, because now I have a validation where my material type and old material number are part of the material entity. So after that, there is one more validation is there. Based on the industry sector, you need to do one more validation. Based on authorization group, you need to do one more validation. So once you create a function, you are creating function not for only this rule. You are creating a function at entity level, at this entity level. Now later onwards, whatever the validations that are there, all those validations based on your material entity attributes can be added under the same function. Okay, it will be like this. Let me show you the hierarchy here. Okay, it will be like this. First, you create a function. Right? Under this particular function, you add a signature. This signature is basically your entity structure. In the data model, we discussed about entity structure. There is a structure that SAP creates when you activate your data model. That structure will have all the attributes of the entity. Okay, you add that entire entity structure as a signature so that all the attributes of that particular entity will be under this scope. So now you can create n number of rules. Here you have something called rule set. So rule set is a group of rules. Under this one, you can write multiple rules. Rule 1, rule 2, rule 3. So the lowest level is rules. These rules will be logically grouped under a rule set. And with this rule set, likewise, you can create multiple rule sets. Rule set 2. Under this one, you can create rules, rule 1, rule 2, like this. So there is a logical arrangement is there. But all these rule sets and all these rules are meant for or will be used for this particular under this particular material entity. Like that, you can have plant entity, you can have sales entity. So for every entity, you need to create those functions. Okay, so now here, first add your material entity structure as a signature. That how you can do. So you can see there is a add existing data objects. So those structures are already available here automatically. You need to choose that structure, that's it. So how to choose that one? You can actually, MTART is the name of the field, MTART. Okay, so when you search with this MTART, you can see here your field MTART also showing the. Usually, instead of adding this attribute only, you need to add this entire structure. This attribute is part of this material structure. So if you select this structure, if you select this entire structure, see, I added the entire structure here. Now, if you expand this structure, you can find all the attributes, not only MTRT, your old material, everything is there. Now I can write n number of validations using all these attributes. So that's why the best practice is when you're creating a function for an entity, particular entity, add the entire structure of that particular entity. Our entity name is material. So I added the material entity structure here as a signature. Clear this one? Okay. After this, once you add your signature, the next one is assign rule sets. So as I mentioned here, function is the top level. Under the function, you will have rule sets. So first you need to create a rule set. Here, there is no need to follow any naming convention. You can say just rule set underscore material. There is no need to follow any naming convention. It can be anything. Okay, I'm creating one rule set. So you created one rule set here. Now you are in this rule set. Now you are here. This is the place where you create a rules. Under a rule set, you create a rule. So this is the hierarchy function. Under function, you will have rule set. Under rule set, you will have the rule. So rule is a place where you actually implement your rule. So now you are creating one rule, insert rule. So what is your rule? Provide some description. BASMT check. I'm giving some description, old material number check. Okay. For this particular rule, you have validity associated also. And what now you need to write a condition over here. What is your condition? If material type is equal to FERT. So first put that one. Context. You can see here, if SN conditions use value range context. So it shows only few. Click on more. Now search, it shows all the attributes that are your material structure, but your entity attribute name is MTART. Right? So just search with this attribute. Material type. Okay. Now this is your if condition. If material type is equal to, you have all these operators, you can make use of anything. Okay. But for our case, material type is equal to, when you do an F4, it shows all the values. Okay, FERT. Okay, FERT. So now you look at your condition. If material type is equal to FERT, so in that case, that means then what is that old material number? BASMT should not be blank. Okay, so you can write a condition like this. If material type is equal to FERT and BASMT is initial, I wanted to throw an error message. So you can say here, you can use the include condition, insert include. Use this, add more condition. So when you add more condition, this is based on your material type, and other attribute is old material number. What do you want? You want or AND. In our case, it should be AND condition. Use AND. Material type is equal to FERT and use the BASMT. BISMT, the other field. Okay, old material number. Okay, so now read this condition. If you can see, if material type is equal to FERT and old material number is initial. Okay, then you wanted to throw an error message. So that's why if this matches, it will go to then, right? So here you need to throw an error message. How to trigger an error message or warning message? There is something called a perform action. Okay, select. Perform expression. Perform action create. So you can log a message. Basically, there is an option where you can log a message. Log message. Log message, create, put some name. I'll say message underscore BASMT underscore check. Any name you can follow here. Okay, now everything we need to create basically here. So now I'm going to write a message over here. What message I wanted to display? Okay, here you have two options. Predefined message means you can enter here. Okay, please maintain old material number. You can write something like this. And what type of message? It should be information or warning or error. You can use. So for now, I'll just throw a warning message only, so that it won't, for others, it won't be a hard stop. Okay. So I'm just writing like this. Okay. Or else, if you have in SAP, we have that message class. SE91, you have a message class and message numbers, right? If you have a predefined message also, that you can actually switch here, okay? Your message class, message number, type of message. Either you can use this one, or else you can go with the option with the free text that you can switch between over here. So once what message you wanted to display on the UI, once you create that one, save. This is in inactive mode, activate. Okay. Now go back, activate your rule set. Okay. And go back. Your function is also active. Now let's look at here. Under check entity, you created a function, generic function check underscore material. Under this one, you added as a signature that your material entity structure. You can see the tabs over here. Now you go to assigned rule set. You can see there is one rule set. Under this rule set, you have this condition. Now read this condition. This is how you need to write it. If material type is equal to FERT and old material number is initial, then only you perform this action. What is this action? You click on this. It will take you to this message. It's a warning message. It will throw this warning message. That's it. So this is a kind of validation. Now let's look at a demo as well here. Create material. You can choose any CR type because this validation is against a data model. That means these validations will work for every CR type. So enter this one. So I haven't entered material type, right? So our rule is material type should be FERT and old material number should be blank, right? So when I enter all other stuff, okay, so your rule won't get executed now. When you click on check, you don't see a message over here. Other messages you will see, material type entered and all these things. Now what I will do is I will enter the industry sector as M and description also some value. Okay, so click on check. Still you don't get that message because to get into that condition, first material type should be entered. So now I will enter material type FERT. Hit enter. Click on check. Now you see your message. Please maintain old material number because this old material number is not is initial. You enter something, some value, click check. That message will go away. Clear? I will share a document and I just wanted to show a glimpse of how your BRF rule works, but there are other things also I wanted to discuss more on this BRF stuff. But this is at a very high level just to show you how a BRF rule looks, because once you create that rule and activate that rule, right, in the backend system will generate ABAP code for you. So consultants, functional consultants or business users, they can at least write a kind of, they follow these steps. So at least they can write a condition, something like this. For this one, only you need to know if, else, if, then, this kind of thing.
And assume the same function can be used for, suppose, edit material or any other thing that we want to do. We can always refer that same check underscore material function.
Yes.
Still possible,
yeah.
Once written, then it can be reused for anything else.
Now you can write one more validation here. There is a one rule. You can always write insert again one more rule, create one more rule. So likewise, you can create a number of rules under this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. No, but I think the tool can be used not just for creating material, but also for any other.
Yeah, it can be create and change scenarios. Yes.
Okay.
So here we created check material, but in the backend, how it will be worked only for material master data? Is there any link up we will do? Like
we are entering into this for data model, right? By entering the data model.
Oh, okay, got it. Actually, yeah.
Okay. First time, if you remember, when you are entering into this one, it asks for the data model. I input that data model. Then only I enter into this one. Yeah, no problem. Just go through that one. But
sure.
We will input the data model first. So likewise, under data model, you can write n number of validations. And similarly, when you enter BP data model, this similar kind of structure will be created. For your custom data model also, only the name will change here, your data model name, BP, YP, like that.
Got it. So here all the rules and validations and derivations will be done by functional consultant or both technical and functional?
Both, anyone can do, whoever feels comfortable, they can do. But I recommend the functionals can do it. That will be better because you will be owning some stuff, right? Not only configurations, the rules and everything. There
but
are
here
more things
programming available. Programming will be involved here. Programming.
No, in this one there is no programming, but the same kind of rule I can implement using BADI also. That I will show you. And there are few more things we need to discuss under this rule. I just gave you a kind of quick introduction how a rule look like, but we need to discuss more details in depth in BRF this one. Okay.